Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about a couple different passages. Really, it's the same episode that seems to happen in two different ways, nearly back to back. It's a popular thing, you've probably heard of it before. It's in 1 Samuel chapter 24 and then again in chapter 26. David is on the run. Saul is trying to ensure that his bloodline is the one that gets to keep the kingdom, even though he's done things and turned away from the ways that God told him to walk in. And he knows that David is supposed to be the king, so he starts hunting him down. So David's fleeing, and here in in chapter 24, we get an interesting encounter. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just to give you a little bit of reference. When Saul returned from following the Philistines, he was told, "Behold, David is in the wilderness of En-Gedi." Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of Israel and went to seek David, and his men in front of the wild goats' rocks. And he came to the sheepfolds by the way where there was a cave. And Saul went into the cave to relieve himself, or go to the bathroom. Now David and his men were sitting in the innermost parts of that cave. And the men of David said to him, Here's the day of which the Lord has said to you, Behold, I will give your enemy into your hand, and you will do to him as it seems good to you. And then David arose and stealthily cut off the corner of Saul's robe. And the story goes on, and you've heard this before. David had every chance to just kill Saul and be done with it. He wouldn't have to be on the run anymore. He could go home. He could be with his family again. But here, he doesn't choose to do it. Which is weird, because you have all of his men hyping him up in the back of the stadium, like, no, today's the day, go kill the dude. And imagine the disappointment that all of his friends and followers had when he comes back with the robe. He's like, nah, I cut off his robe corner. And everyone's like, dude, we sent you to kill the guy. Like, what are you doing? So this keeps going, and Saul leaves the cave, and y'all know the rest of the story. When Saul gets a safe distance away, David comes out, and he's holding up the corner of his robe and saying, Saul, I could have killed you, but I'm not going to. You may want to hurt me, but I really don't want to hurt you. And then we have Saul, he apologizes, like, I'm sorry, you're a better person than I am. And then they go their separate ways. And you think, okay, Saul learned his lesson, cool. And then you go to chapter 26, and you realize that isn't the case at all. You see Saul's servants come up to him again and say, hey, David's in so-and-so place, let's go get him. And Saul, apparently forgetting the mercy that David had done, or apparently just doesn't care anymore, he goes after David and is actually encamped at night, and he's sleeping in his tent, and David goes down. He takes one of his friends, goes down to where Saul is sleeping, and next to his head is a spear, which is pretty significant and ironic even, because Saul earlier tries to kill David by pinning him to a wall with a spear. And David here has every opportunity to get him back, to do what Saul was trying to do to David, but he refuses to do it. And the story goes on, and he actually takes a water jug as well, and then he goes up the hill, and in the morning he's like, Saul, could have killed you. Please stop trying to kill me. I do not want to fight you. And it's a really interesting thing. We'll see Saul's reaction here in verse 17. Saul recognized David's voice and said, Is this your voice, my son David? And David said, It is my voice, O Lord the king. And he said, Why does my Lord pursue after his servant? What have I done? What evil is in my hands? Now therefore, let my Lord the king hear the words of his servant. If it is the Lord who has stirred you up against me, may he accept an offering. But if it is men, may they be cursed before the Lord. For they have driven me out this day, and I should have no share in the heritage of the Lord, saying, Go serve other gods. Now therefore, let not my blood fall to the earth, away from the presence of the Lord. For the king of Israel has come to seek out a single flea, one who hunts a partridge in the mountains. And Saul said, I have sinned. Return, my son David. I will no more do you harm, because my life was precious in your eyes this day, and behold, I have acted foolishly and made a great mistake. So here we see again David saying, hey, could have killed you. And Saul's like, oh no, I'm sorry. And actually this time he invites David to come home. And what I think is interesting here is Saul asked David to come home. But what does David do? If you keep reading, you realize, no. David realizes, okay, Saul, I love you, and I do not want to kill you. You have a tendency to try and kill me, so our relationship needs some boundaries. In this case, a few miles, right? And one thing I think is just so cool here is so often I'm in that place where I'm with someone that I'm arguing with, I'm with someone that I disagree with, that I don't like or whatnot, and I feel like I have all the ammunition I need to take them down right then. I know just the thing to say. I know just how to get them, how to hurt their feelings, how to get into their heart and in their mind. And so often I'm like, unlike David, who's like, no, I'm not going to kill him, I'm like, stab him to the ground. It's like, okay, I'm going to kill you, you're done, haha, I win. But here we see that's not what you're supposed to do. When you have all of the ammunition you could ever want, when you have all of these opportunities to hurt those who are actively trying to hurt you. This wasn't a little annoyance in David's case. Saul was trying to kill him, but David gave him mercy. Maybe we should too. I know that's a hard thing, because when you're in the middle of these confrontations, when you're in the middle of an argument, you just want to kill the person with the ammunition that you have. But that's not what we're called to do. We're called to be people like David who, even though we have every chance, and even though we may feel totally justified, we don't take advantage of it. We choose peace instead of violence. We choose to forgive instead of pursue. So that's my challenge for you today. And it's a really hard one, and it's not a fun one. But as you're going throughout your week, as you're going throughout your day, when you find yourself in these moments where your enemy is right there and you could hurt them, whether it be with words, whether it be physically, whether it be anything, choose to not. Choose peace instead. That's my challenge for you today. If you want to be notified whenever we put one of these videos up, you can subscribe to this channel, you can click the bell icon, and until then, we'll see you next time.